Report. So no one's on the line, and all I can tell is when you go over to participants. And click participants. So chat, participants, recorder, Q&A, chat. You never use any of that. Okay. Recorder, always make sure you don't have to tell here recording. Okay. We're being recorded, just to let you know right now. Okay. We're being recorded audible. Attend? No one. We're the only person on the call. Okay. This will pop up. You'll be able to pull it up and see who's on the call. Again, we're the only one on the call. Okay. And this is our recording today. That's why it's the biggest thing. Okay. So this should sit over there, probably. I won't be talking. I know. Usually they're over here. Okay. But yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
And now we're it.
You've been doing it.
Question, but they're very busy. I've worked at it. Because they're going to go. And another one on them. But overall, you're done. You're good. And the recording will officially fade. And we did.
What do we got here?
This is recording. This is where I can come in and convert them and put them on online. These are all online already. But this is where it's stored.
I looked at this one this morning. The one from last time. Thank you.
And what's after all? And you're off in the course of how you do training. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. You're welcome. Yeah. You definitely need to. I've been sitting in.
Why don't you hang out for a few minutes? How we get started? I'm guessing this is. There was a crowd at the door.
Very well. That's good. Not the thing's done.
The room.
That's cooler.
This is actually a meeting, not a group. Yes, at this point. So we're going to wait a minute or two and then we'll start right at. We're going to come in so about 5 after. This is Sarah.
I'm okay.
So she works in the executive office. Yeah. And these are people in the
strong.
Before came, Sarah did many of the things Cannabis related. And the budgeting. She was doing it in her spare time.
I'm sure she's very
we have that. There's continue with that as well.
She's very nice. She's very nice. This is Erica.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
Erica. Nice to meet you.
And I'm explaining.
You'll see me around.
So there's budget subject to in and out fast.
Sure. We would have talked about them today, but we can.
I think
Sure, I agree. Do you want to start it, folks? Yeah. Sure. Give me a get started. So, well, this is a small group. It is track and trace working group. We can, and I think I do know everyone, but can we just go around the room and say hello? Start with Ron, is that all right?
Yeah, Ron Edwards, DK Nursery.
It's okay. Anyway, from Florida.
Yeah. Marty with Big B's Marty One Farm. I'm a small business consultant.
Hello.
County.
Overton County.
Aaron County.
Geronimo's Christopheros with the farm in the woods.
Welcome, everyone. So we've said hello. We've done a roll call. This is a small group. I've not led this working group before, and as I mentioned to a few of you, I listened to the last one this morning at bright early, so I woke up to kind of Ron and Sarah and such, and I'm very excited that Sarah's here with us. And we have a very simple agenda. If you didn't pick one up, they're at back. Is there anyone on the phone with this? No. Good to know. So a Cal Origin update is what I have first on the agenda.
And so, one of the main things I wanted to talk about was integration to Mesh. I know it's hot and down on so many people's minds, and there's a lot of concern, in the communities from all of our jurisdictions that there's going to be a need for dual entry, and the answer is, as much as possible, we will be eliminating the need for dual entry. However, and there's always a caveat, we are at the state's mercy on a couple of items, and so right now the only area that we see that you'll have to log into Metric specifically for will be transfers, but we'll be able to pull that data from Metric after you enter transfers in Metric. So, while everything else you'll be able to do in Sigma, and we will transit data. We are about halfway through development and testing. We've gotten, the certification process, and we have gotten back to the endpoint configured and pointed into our UI, our application. There's just a few left. We're starting to see them come up for air. Which is good because a lot of the things that we have left to do are things we have questions about the way their system operated. So they're starting to respond to those answers, which is a great thing because that means we can continue on with the lens that we were following. So we expect to see that integration come out before they go live. Obviously, we won't turn it on until they are live. And at the point, there's what we're hearing is they're still going live at the beginning of July. I don't know if that's a legitimate date or not. I can't politically correct say anything about it.
We're already talking about expanding the temporary.
Yeah. So I've worked with the state for a long time as a consultant, and I've never seen a major system go live all the time. So if they even get close, I'm very impressed, and I know they're making good progress. So.
Is there more?
What
more?
Well, that was the main thing.
Yeah.
We have a few updates to the system that we put up last week, the week before. That corrected a few error areas, and I'm not like as to what they were. But you will be seeing next week. We're going to be correcting and improving the. Oh, I know they were there. The performance of your stamp inventory report. And review product inventory. So inventory, will be slow running report if you have a lot of product. And we've optimized that pretty quickly. But it just because it runs on a dash. If you create a product and you go in and look for it right away, it may not be pulled up yet. So you got to give it, about 10 to 15 minutes to refresh and pull that data into the report. And next week we have a few more. Mostly at the jurisdiction level of improvements.
Can we talk, are you going to talk about the next gen stamp?
Stamp is coming up. I will start testing the app to scan it next week or in the next couple of weeks. So we expect to launch that stamp end of May, early June. Testing should be completed this month. So it's looking pretty good. Expected to be up and running long before the state comes online. So you will transition, their stamp and ours at the same time.
There's signatures on it as well.
What are the features?
So now when you scan it, if you scan that QR code, it'll take you to the Cal Origin site. Instead, it should be taking you, giving you the actual QR code so that you can use it for your own inventory management. So it'll be compatible with, if you have an inventory management system that uses scannable QR, you'll do that. You'll still get the Cal Origin. If you have the Cal Origin app, you can still scan it to verify it. You no longer will need to use, the color shift. I don't know if you guys ever tried scanning the other one, but in order to do the verification, you have to do this color shift thing, and it was not really efficient. So we've taken that away. So you have just a much more simplistic, quick way to scan that stamp. So that's what I was looking for.
And do anything with the fonts, you know, we have to enter the code, those are really hard to read.
You know, because of the way that they are, the language font that needs to be to keep it, you know, secure or whatever, it's still the same font. There are a few things like, there's never zero, there are always, there's never O's, there are always zeros, kind of thing. So there's a few rules, and I can get those compiled, and we can move them on to our support information, so that if you have trouble with them, that you can go, oh yeah, okay, so there's never zero, I mean, never O's, there are always zeros. You know, the S's and the fives will always be fives or S's, one or the other, so. I can get those rules for you. I would hate to try to recite them off the top of my head.
Yeah. But not a regular department, still secure.
Regular barcodes are secure. And so, anyone can create a barcode at any time. And so, security purposes, for the ability to say, this is legit, track and trace product, we have to keep it secure.
But metrics.
I cannot respond. Correct. So, you're right, they are. Yeah. That's
Interesting choice of color.
good thing.
Officially, they're using RFID. Well,
I think people are going to actually use that.
you know,
I
maybe
have to be careful.
There's a problem with RFID works great in the field. Certain light combinations indoors don't fit. So you have to down to RFID in some indoor situations.
There's any, and this is, you know, I have to be that there's patience to what's good about it and what's bad about it. And so, when pros and cons, you know, RFID is great for inspectors and for people who are cultivating in large quantities, because that is, you know, quickly comes to have good in a situation where you have a lot of product. As it's in the dispensary, if you have a lot of product sitting in a very small space, you might not necessarily get what you want. Right, which is where the barcode is. And then, because, you know, if you're in inventory management, you would look at the barcode rather than, you know, and then the state is going to have you use product counts, batch products, once they're, you know, refined or whatever, it's going to be locked. So you wouldn't really, you don't have a barcode on every, you know,
Yeah.
well,
The unique identifier has to be on every product that's sold.
if it's a line to the dispensary box, this is last we heard, don't quote me, because they change it faster than we can read it.
Okay.
That it was going to be the batch, the box, and then each individual product is likely not. That's what we heard from Metric. But it changes faster.
Yeah, it's going to change, because what they basically do, I like what the guy from Metric explained to me, is you pass out your car, and they're thinking, or they want to be able to know where that came from and track it all the way back.
And that's not what they were saying too much.
Yeah.
So, and what you have to want to change that, because that's the point, right?
And this is where the complexity of two systems comes in. That it's going to be, cultivators are not even sure of what is coming in trade as far as being able to print labels. That would be a very complicated thing, so that you're putting labels, getting that unique identifier on it, and putting the QR code on that patch. There's a whole lot of pictures, and I don't know, has anybody worked with a cannabis business software? What it does, how it works.
No.
So if you are in catering, you have your management software, where you have your recipes and which, and that's the key in running your business. Cannabis has the same software, whether it be Trellis, EC, MJ Freeway. There's a lot out there that you use, and we were talking earlier, like you can keep track of your life death. Like this is what we did last year, this was the average temperature, this was days, and that's what you need to run your business. And those softwares are set up to work with metrics. So we're at the point of still making these systems work to bring it to business.
Those are now integrated. So we are working on this meeting with American last week. And so they're working with the manufacturer and and they've not yet integrated to California metrics, but they're working on it. They're already through most of the integration with us, and so they're making the decision. How are we going to push our data? And I think that they've decided that if they're in a jurisdiction where they have stuff, then they push the data through CICLA into metric. And so that way they don't have a duplicity issue going on with data.
And how do we resolve? It's still resolving that our RFID QR.
I don't know the question.
Well, we're going to have two different types of scanning that we're going to have to do.
Sure.
And so the interface that you could use a marker to go to CICA, and that will communicate with the QR code, or where does that talking take place?
So the way that we're constructing the change to our system is it will allow you to load those RFIDs. So our system and those will be pushed into metric when you want to do what we call activation. They call saving with MedFast. And so you'll be able to give us the RFID number, and we will push it into metric for you.
Work.
So that's the RFID, the barcode number.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. They call that tag on RFID. So you'll be able to load it into metric from us. So there's some things you have to do in metric first. You have to order those tags from metric directly. You can order them from us. And once we're ready to go live, we will be sending out a set of, these are the things to do in metric, these things that you can do in the West. So, right, so it's very clear. And we'll make sure that it's not going to be too complex in the way that we speak.
I'll bring you up to speed. So in every other jurisdiction, you will work with your business software, and that's what metric. So sure, we have an extra fee that we're paying.
That part I do understand. Okay. So I put this agenda together this morning based on the end of the last meeting. So I actually listened to Sarah, and at the end of the last meeting, she mentioned we're going to, next time we meet, talk about the recommendations, training, preparing for track and trace, and then next steps, next meeting. So what has been discussed as far as what product, if there is one, are we preparing to present to the Board of Supervisors? Is it Sarah?
I will say from the cultivator's point of view, that the feedback I am getting has been from from several different groups. It's a difficult process, and it's anything this is easy, but it's that if we're complexity of learning success and add on now with the complexity of learning metric, sitting up, wondering why we have to do that. I know at one time it was discussed that there was certain information that the county needed for their regulations. And it's being pushed hard at the state level to protect the county. I don't know specifically what the county needs, or I would be pushed hard, but I don't know the specific information that the county cannot get. Why we're going to
Okay. I'm going to ask Sarah if she can enlighten us any on that, or?
It's a complicated question that crosses departments. So I think.
And I've been it for years now.
Okay.
I mean, some of it's on the compliance end for the cultivators, and some of that end, and some of it's on the other end for.
I will take my time, and I will lobby in Sacramento to get the county that information. Because I'm going everywhere.
Thank you. Okay. What discussion as far as what are we present a letter to the board, or is this just really kind of a working group that's sharing information?
That's, I mean, their working group, I mean, we can continue to meet, we don't have to meet. If you want a recommendation, you can do a recommendation. It can be a letter, it can be a presentation. You know, it's really up to the working group of what is your recommendation, when do you want to give it, and once it's given, do we really need to meet?
It's kind of remote, she's not the way, but I think that,
So any of those,
I think we would.
So it hasn't been determined, and we need to determine.
Yeah, I think it would be really good if we put we know the system does, how it works, where we're going with integration. And with the groups, we are bringing stuff back from the cultivator side, what would make this program work better,
Yes.
what wouldn't, and timeline. I mean, we're really looking at 1 year into this, 1 year into our 2-year contract. And to recommend to the, I think that SWAPS goes to recommend to the board, is this something that is going to be worth spending money on going forward? Or are there alternatives that we can do going forward?
Do that in just a simple letter to the board?
To bear, we should have a year to see if this can integrate and be as simple as possible.
Okay.
The feedback I get from where I am, that's a big cookie for, it really should be, you sit your computer and we should be able to be like any other cultivator in the state. The majority of the cultivators in the state. It should be that simple. If it's that simple, I don't spend the money, but it's been determined and complicated on that. But I don't know why it should be more complicated to do your track and trace in Sonoma County. It should be complicated in Sonoma or Array or Salinas than it is in Mendocino, Humboldt, and Yolo.
That determined.
Yes.
Okay.
And last time I tried to make the point that I think that track and trace issues have not even come up yet. It's like so the innovators are just entering into starting to use the system. It's almost going to have to be like a full season.
Okay.
You know, we'll get a lot of feedback from them to go, this is state of where is the bottlenecks. A lot of people didn't use the system last year, even though it might have been permitted and had gone to the.
well, there are very few people permitted, frankly.
True.
I mean, what's 15 people?
Okay.
You know?
So we have had this same system up running in other jurisdictions. We've gone through a cycle, the whole road year with Yolo. And so we've gotten a lot of feedback already. And so you know, they're accepting. Now, their regulatory process is a little more daunting than yours. So, you know, some of their feedback is simply a policy issue. So we can separate that out and then, you know, bring that in to our improvements. So we address some of them that we have coming in within the next few weeks, months. Is, you know, when you log in, you know, what would you like to see on that homepage? You know, would you like some sort of reminders? Hey, you know, you said you were going to harvest this planting on this date. You know, that coming up in the next 5 days, or it was 5 days ago. Those kinds of things that sometimes are easy to forget that you have them sitting there in that kind of cycle. And so that we can make it clear. You guys are getting the information you need. You're ready to pay attention. So those are some of the, you know, reminders and or improvements that we do from our 4-year report.
So for recommendation purposes, are you looking at like fall? Or are we September, October, looking at next month? Just trying to ask when do you want to go before the board?
I
would say November-ish, mid to late November.
Well,
This experience.
it's not going to be this month because we do agendas like literally 2 to 3. We do forecasting 2 to 3 weeks in advance. not going to be May.
I can't see them going, yeah, let's go for 2 track and trace systems. I see how anything we do a miracle interface would use that. And that's the thing we've kind of been working on, is we've been waiting to see what the state's going to do. We kind of have an idea. No.
Get that. So I'm just throwing it out.
Trying.
Should we put a placeholder for November, October, September, August? It's probably not going to be this month. Next month's budget hearing, so it's not going to be so,
I mean, to be frank,
so pick a date, or pick a month, I should say.
When did the board start looking at extending us in this track and trace program? It should be sometime.
Well, the contract goes through June 2018, or June 2019.
Yeah, something before the end of the year.
I would say typically for renewals for contracts, it starts like 2 months out, maybe months out.
Yeah.
Depending on,
So that was part of the budget talks.
well, we as the county paid a one-time fee at the start of the contract. That's not a fee we have to pay again. So I think it was like $28,000, and it was for customization with some of our internal softwares for, payments online and that kind of stuff. So if there's no dollar, it's like a continuation of the status quo, essentially. Unless we change the fees we charge to cultivators. So, you know what I mean? Not necessarily more, but some jurisdictions, each jurisdiction has their own pay structure. Some are more than ours, some are less than ours. So the only thing that would complicate is if we address that. But essentially all we would have to do, we could just keep the status quo and keep going. But I would say if you want to go before the board and make a recommendation, I would say you would probably want to do fall or winter. I would do it before the start of the year.
Yeah, I think we need to see.
And after the season, and then I think things, and there are options of, we can put, there's a lot of, if you want to keep it or you didn't want to keep it, or different things you could change about the contract or requirements of what you're really doing. So, I mean, there's a lot in terms of what you wanted to do for a contract, but I would suggest that you to the board before the end of the calendar year. Time for them to hear feedback and think, and then weigh the cons of going forward, not going forward, so then it gives them enough time to really deliberate. And we all have in January we'll have 2 new supervisors. So
another thing we're not kind of figuring out is what is the con of not having it. What is the downside of not having 2 track and trace systems? I know for the cultivator, but I don't know what it is for the county.
mm-hmm.
We're kind of that, yeah, there's a system in place and we want to do it, but from the culture we're going, okay, there's all this stuff we have to do, but we don't know from the key of, well, if we don't do 2 systems, this is the problem.
I would say, if I had to guess, and I don't want to speak for all of the departments, I think, I think realistically we can expect to see some of the data from Metric on the front end in terms of the cultivation side. I'm not so sure about the back end in terms of what we would use for auditing purposes for our own taxes and things like that. And then the other main thing that I know was primarily the reason this direction was the stamp. We wanted something to protect the brand of Mendocino, but there's ways we could do that without necessarily as much as we do. Think there's options, and I think the board needs to hear from the cultivators, and then need to deliberate on what are they using the data for? Do we need this, or do we have the stamp? How do we incorporate the stamp and not maybe the data? So I think giving enough time where you present to them and the board members have enough time to deliberate on what are pros and cons and choose if they want to go forward with would be ideal.
The thing we really need is we need from the board what they want and what they're using from this second country.
Yeah. And I would say the board's not using the data, it's the departments.
Okay.
And you know, I would say that the top issue of what's going on right now, and you want this to be in the board's attention, I'm going to be real, the next couple months is not it. Like, between the budget, between the facilities ordinance for revision and the coastal amendments, and but other stuff, I would say you're better off doing a recommendation in the fall, because the next 3 months are going to be like flat and probably realistically already 3 or 4 hours of cannabis every meeting.
But I want to add from a cultivation perspective, right? I think most of the people don't see the pros to it because all it is extra work and extra cost. And those are real big concerns for everybody on the other side.
Yeah, totally get it.
So that's our concern, but then again, we don't really see the benefits.
Yeah.
Reasoning. So I will take upon myself to get this information and be able to define, here's why we are doing this.
Yeah.
If we were to not do it, here's what it creates.
And I truly believe we're really not going to see, I really think we're going to see the benefits on the county until we go through this season. As we started the program in May of 2017, and we didn't even issue a permit until like August, and that was like 1. And, you know, so I don't really think the county is going to see if we went down this road is going to be beneficial. On this side, I'm already hearing things about stamps. The stamps, that's one faction of the whole thing. But I know it's going to take actually people in the system. I don't think we're going to have that. This is going to be our first year in the system where we're going to actually have cultivators from planting to harvest. And I think it's going to be good to say, you know, for all of this stuff, did this really we intended it to do? And we'll know that this summer for sure.
Yeah, we'll also know what the state rules in on the company of doing two systems.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be happy, but until you see it, I know you're going to be skeptical, and that's
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's understood.
it's hard to say 2 is better than 1 when it comes to paperwork.
And in many ways, it's really going to be like, two.
But from a business perspective,
No, I get it.
certainty is difficult and it's added.
But that's what I'm saying, until you see it live, you know, I understand your steps.
I mean, the few people I know who are not having problems with, they have a full-time person that they've hired to do finance.
Can we agree then, at least in theory right now, that our side, on the county side, I am information. I am to get us an understanding of why and what comes of this for us, and if we were to stop doing it, what the repercussions are.
It's a why. We know the why.
Okay. So from your side, we're going through a growing season, and we're continue. It sounds like it's pretty obvious what some of the detrimentals are to you. But as we go through a growing season, we'll gather some more information.
I'm putting down a placeholder of November 2018.
We will get together.
In November.
Obviously,
Mark your calendars.
well before November. But it appears, unless I hear different in the next couple of agenda items, this is a group that maybe needs to get together consistently through the summer. And you can feel free to correct me as we move on.
No, because I think that we'll be compiling what's going on. And all would be helpful for SIGFA because really they're focused feedback from the community.
That's what I think.
Your feedback comes from phone calls, people calling for support, kind of,
Right.
you know, like, hey, what's going on? I have questions about.
Maybe we meet bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Like, so we meet, so next time we'll meet in July, and then we'll meet in September.
In September, have a plan as far as what we're producing
Yeah, talk about recommendations.
on the calendar.
I do, after watching like Yolo go through there, that it's the, you know, after harvest, a good month, before you see those coming out of harvest and being activated in the system, so take into consideration their time.
But you have like cycles coming in.
Yeah, definitely, multiple items.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying for a full set, for a full cycle. It's not just like, okay, we harvested that last week, now we can, you know, judge it. Because it does take drying and processing and drying time.
Yeah, we'll let people start to harvest here and have.
I'm just saying, if you want to get the full year to really evaluate it, just take into consideration It doesn't stop at harvest, it stops once it's processed.
Right.
So I think we got some marching orders.
Yep.
November 8th, 2018, and then meet bi-monthly.
Okay.
Sorry, November 6th.
Number 6.
November 6th.
One thing I think it kind of fits in with the larger problem in that within Mendocino County, overall toward wholesale, your setup is not going to be that much retail sales in Mendocino County, and that's where the money is for the government. This is the tax and also, like, I'm afraid we may fall to what happened with timber, and then we, rolled out forests with $150 a thousand feet, really value-added products that create more employment and here to the people. So I think the county really needs to work towards more retail.
They're with you.
And the market, that's going to get all these trade police. I'm concerned, like, with the stamp program, that when part of leaves the county as wholesale, when they're told the consumer not going to have that.
I agree. I think the idea was...
Lose that, and if we hold that, this is going to...
I think the idea is to mimic the wine industry. So obviously there's wine like a lot of grapes that just go to Napa. We don't get recognition, it's just going in the bottle. But the idea was to start to create that in Humboldt and in Mendocino Triangle for the products. I would say the higher end products. So like just like you usually you have wine with little the stamps that come on for different wine regions. So I think that was the original idea. And I also agree on the retail front. I think it's imperative that there's a lot of involvement and support for the micro-business stuff that's coming up, because I think that's a needed change to keep it going. And, on our side, we're seeing a lot of permits to start, or applications for licenses rolling in for manufacturing, for distribution, for processing, for retail, storefront and non-storefront. In a tax perspective, that's the only thing that brings us money, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just, and we've supported Wood's work and McGuire's work, and we want to see that happen, because we then will just treat cannabis like you treat any other event, which is like bare minimum. You need anything really to, get on the site, but that way you could do farmers markets at locations that the county deems you can that, plus in addition to the two programs we have.
So the city of Sacramento just approved high times
Saw that.
consumption.
Mhm.
It's an interesting meeting.
Mhm. And I think.
Well, I was reminded that this time last year, I'm down $10,000 in revenue because I missed 3 farmers markets.
Mhm. I like this concept of, I know that people have been talking about like the equivalent of CSA box with non-storefront non-storefront retail with a micro business, which I think is a plus. I really would love to see some events start to pop up at Anderson, the fairground, because that's just really in this location for a lot of the beer festivals, and we have people all over the country and state coming for those, and I'm sure they'd come for cannabis. So I think that's the path. And on the marketing, and we've been talking a lot about the new committee that's shooting off from Visit Mendocino, about how do we market the tourism, because realistically a lot of our stuff is wholesale. We do have dispensaries, we do have events, we do have tourism, and how do we maximize the gifts that we're given? And that's kind of it.
Because we're a self-consumption county.
Mm-hmm.
We grow for ourselves. We don't have to go to the store and buy it.
That's a lot of visitors here. And especially if this partnership works out with Visit Mendocino, I think they're a key piece. They're a key piece in the success of the cannabis industry in Mendocino County.
And, if you guys have things that you would like to see in the system that help you, please, let me know.
I want to ask you a question. I was going through some of the tutorials, and there was a tutorial where it's about adding a user
talked about how on the left side column, process to go through that process. And it was nowhere to be found.
It depends on the login that you have. What role do you have, you know?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? So.
After this, I'll check for you, and make sure you have the right role.
I mean, you're assigned to roles.
That's when you're enrolled, who your POC is usually assigned as the manager of your site. And only the managers of sites can add users or then
As the manager of the site, maybe my ladies, and as we both went to the training, we got all of 50 emails, and you guys have email address. And so what do you have? Say that again.
What's your business?
The Urbanology, HERBAN.
Yeah. But most likely, you is the manager, the other one isn't. I can make it both the manager if I want to.
Yeah, the other thing, I would just say is easy to use my background.
I hear you. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm already addressing that. We are in the process right now of like putting the UI into a more modern, usable. We have a portion of it built in-house, and because
that background kind of graphic design, I worked with the web industry for so long. There's no order. It's so hard to figure out what the order.
Yeah, I'm going to send you what I sent them earlier today, because like we have new testers coming online, and they're calling me. So what's the next step in the process? I'm like, exactly. You just my point.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm going to do. And so as they're going through and they test the old one, then they go to the new UI. They're like, oh yeah, thank you. Right. We're also adding. You'll see these come out in the next month too. Probably you'll get a few of them within the month. But we'll keep adding on, and we're going to target them as the cycles, as you're going through your growth cycles. But they're alerts basically reminding you of, hey, this is the next step for this planting. Do you want to go do it? That kind of thing.
Question about the A&M designation, because that's still floating around. It's possibly being changed with AB 2929 legislation. And I'm just saying for right now, we have to follow what's on the book. So what should we be doing as we're putting our plans in the ground this month in May, track and trace, designating things, because I'm in a temporary license situation, and I guess I'm probably be changing it, potentially going into recreational, because I'm watching how the market is changing and how the
And we, on our end, are getting rid of,
and risk is not that designation.
So for the Mendo plan, you guys are on both, and that's great. So when you activate your stamps, when you go to say, I'm going to put the stamp on this plant, you have the choice of medical or adult. That's fine. So you just tell which one you.
yeah, and if you don't,
What if it's going to change? Because when do I put that information? Right now?
You can say it's adult, we still have
You have to
leeway until July
I
to
can
test,
touch it.
to take the same plan to go A or M.
mm-hmm.
The time transaction, but if we have to do that with the planting.
Okay, so it's our understanding right now that and this is, the state hasn't clarified yet how they want it, because you have to declare A or M for them as well.
Yeah.
Our understanding right now that in jurisdictions that allow you to have both, or if you have both existing in the state, there's going to be a process to allow you to transfer it from A to M or M to A. We allow you to do it if you have an M. We don't have any restrictions on it right now. So when you go to transfer your product or activate it, say you grew it as A and you want to be M, you're restricted. But vectors may be inspecting for that. So you make sure that whatever the county wants you to do is what you do.
I'll preface this, obviously we kind of went just to cannabis, I don't really care, but you will see Mendocino County inspectors inspecting on behalf of the state. So you may be getting multiple sets of questions of, they're checking for state compliance, they're checking for local compliance. So let's put that as a preface.
All of those questions, when
You can see,
like that,
they like two roles.
the system allows you to do, it doesn't mean it's what you should do. But they need to tell you how they want you to do it.
So then in a situation like, I mean, my temporary license ends in June, state, and I already have my county permit, and it's for medical, because at that time, recreational wasn't online. But now as I move in with temporary, I'm going to probably change it to recreational, which means I'm gonna have to call you and be like, hey, can I switch it to?
And that's what we have to work out internally, is because essentially we're moving away from calling anything medical and anything adult use locally. We're just saying commercial cannabis, we don't care what you're doing for adult or medical. And so we're going to have to figure out a way for us to track, because we've been letting you do it now. Like, if you do adult use, we haven't been stopping that. That was the direction of the board, was allow them to go whatever route they want to go. So, as long as they don't exceed their square footage allotment. So a lot of the stuff that comes to A&M designation and when you designate when is strictly state.
And so that question, though, because that's stable right now, like, I'm going to put this track and trace or tag in the system, I'm going to put it in the ground probably next week. Well, what am I supposed to put it as? If I put it as A or medical, in June I'm going to switch my permit to recreational, but it's already tagged.
We can make
it's
not going to make a difference. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, though, I tried to start my annual, state, and it wouldn't let me use my temporary license as a reference because I'm medical, and I was trying to do it.
I think it's their problem, which is odd because I haven't really seen that with some of them.
So I tried to use my temporary medical license from the state, and asked you for your previous, any other licenses you've had, and it told me this is not a valid adult use.
Let's hang on to that and talk about that at the state working group, because I think internally what Kelly and the ag departments have to look at is with the changes that are, well, is it date, is it go into effect in May, or
The ordinance?
No, well,
because once the ordinance was adopted, the changes for adult use, 30 days, and I'm not sure what day that day 30 is on.
24th, I thought, the second reading adoption.
So
Into May.
late May.
Late.
In that interim, the ag department is going to need to figure out what they're going to do. My guess is for moving forward in annual licensures, if you, whether it's permit or your receipt, that we may need to reissue it and remove the medical and just say commercial cannabis. And I would also think, because of the mix and match idea, that those that are doing both outdoor and mixed light would have to say something like commercial cannabis, outdoor/mixed light. They know you're authorized to do either. Because I've communicated to them that if it says outdoor or mixed light, they're allowed to apply for either right now. So they shouldn't stop you on the temporary side, but on the annual, they might. So the ag team needs to look at that as preparing the next month to reissue receipts or reissue, which isn't an issue because we've had other people come in, like an address was wrong, an APN number was wrong, like random errors.
In most errors.
Maybe it might just be a good idea to just say mixed or do adult/medical on all the cannabis permits, so that it gives us all the flexibility we need, because we still don't know what's going to happen with the state law. Like, we can hope that AB 2929 passes. If it doesn't, then we're going to be back to the same situation. So
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think we can rework with that, and I think that you guys like 3 weeks to kind of revamp the receipt and revamp the permit, and then what we probably need to do is send out an email notice or listserv of, in either something to be issued. So those that are doing medical, I guess they don't really need to. But
so, there's not that many issues in approved right now. We're at 182 or something, so out of the 800,
Yeah.
94. We're going to get there, man.
But we're not sitting at 800, we're
No.
going to issue 800.
Exactly. Now's the time to do this. Yeah.
and I don't know how far Hannah sent out a nice little instructional email on how to contact you. I don't know if you would want to, for the listserv, send that out to cultivators so that they know.
Let me look at it closer. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to give people Sarah's cell phone number.
I looked really great when people email me and not call me. Unless it's for little things like, I'm I'm doing this and that, because it's actually easier because I categorize things when your state one pops up based on your name and your APN, I can see them all together. So it's been me that's kind of
Pulling, the agenda, pulling what, had just at the end of the last meeting as far as having training and preparing for track and trace on the agenda. What do you need to speak about on these subjects when we're in training? What were we referring to at that point last month?
I will say this, I'll just update our next training.
Thank you.
And most of you guys, some of you guys have been to them. I invite those who have not gone or don't have their permit, we will let you come if you'd like to. We have one on May 14th, and I have to check which one is cultivation.
Are these all in the same place?
We're doing May 14th in Ukiah, and we're doing May 23rd in Willis. So we can switch back to cover like Thursday, to cover like 1, 2, and 5. So May 23rd, it's always at the museum, the back of the museum, because there's classrooms. And they're from 8:30 to 4. And the 14th is also 8:30 to 4, but I'm not sure. Let me see if I go up to 14. Which one's cultivation and which one's other, like,
The website that you can go to is to sign up. It's OregonTraining.org. If you go and you log in or you look at that site, if there's nothing on the calendar, it means either the class that was there is full, or that it hasn't been officially scheduled yet. So I don't know that, so I looked yesterday, I didn't see the one that.
Are they both cultivation on the 14th? I feel like they might
I
be.
think they are, because I got an email, I think they're doing that 8 to 12 or 12 to 4.
And I think on the 23rd would probably be a cultivation and at their license type. Got some new
Yeah, they're both
came in.
cultivators, and they're on the website that I just gave. So you can log into that anytime to look and see when training's coming up. If there's one that you wanted to attend.
And those are for track and trace specifically or general?
So track and trace for cultivators for Cal Origin, and so once you are issued a permit, we enroll you, and then you get set up in a system and they email for training.
That happened earlier?
Yeah, yeah. But those on the working group that have not gone to a training because you haven't been issued a permit yet, we're inviting you to the
I recommend that if you took, like, it isn't really probably by you guys, but, you know, if you're training a while ago and you haven't been in the system, it's not a bad idea to do a refresher. And then anytime you have, if you hire people onto your farm, you know, it's better to you know, educate them than to have to try to go back and correct problems that they create. So.
Preparing for track and trace, actually the name of the training, is that what?
No, I think that was in reference to what we were talking about earlier in terms of metric integration, and we got the update from that, and we'll have further updates at our next meeting about preparing for metric and changes to A&M and all that.
All right. You have your hand up? Oh.
I don't want to derail the conversation, but I had a comment about, or a question about the designation for batches. My partner's training, and he came home with a little questionnaire to fill out packet, and it was like, okay, so what do we need to do? And he's like, I don't know. Well, he didn't grasp it, but
that's why we have a support line that will answer any question and walk you through it.
Support tab inside.
okay.
Yeah, the support line is more helpful than the tab, but that is your find the phone number. The first thing I highly recommend, this is what I tell everybody. The first time you go into the system and you're going to try set everything up, call them and have them walk you through it. Because you can do the training all day long, you just walk out of there, and just later you're like, do something.
Was there a link to the support line? Because I thought I had a hard time finding it.
Yeah, it's on the
Top right.
It's on the top right. Yeah.
So for per batches, like if we have, you know, 5 plants that are gonna be one strain, would be one tag, or that we want individual tags, even though
And I
they're.
can't,
No.
Mendo,
If you, one tag per batch.
yeah, one tag. So Mendo is like really cool. You guys are super lucky.
I know that
Yeah, YOLO has them doing one tag.
And when the state comes online, we might even get rid of all tagging. So frankly, that is probably what's gonna happen is once people are actually enrolled in metric and you're tagging each metric plant, you probably won't have to tag anything for Mendocino.
Right.
No, for your product.
When you tag your
Bags of trim,
Right.
your bags of flour.
Oh my gosh, those aren't going tags that I'm putting out on the
the
garden.
ones that have the little.
We are phasing out plant tagging. State's doing it, but it's stupid. No, we did after training. Right now we're having you tag one plant in your batch. So you have one tag per batch. Yeah, so if you have one hoop house that is all blue dream, yes. Yes. Well, the reason they're doing individual tagging is to make money.
You can use them on your bags of trim, on your bags of flour.
How they make their money is off their tag.
I don't have a tag in the ground from Cisco.
What's so much?
I know.
Metric, but I need to.
Where are
You have a tag
the
with that.
What is physical tag?
Corporate America was my
So that's on the roll.
Area is the state of the
Right, so it's two purposes.
I know, because they're, see,
Right now,
I'll,
until they figure it
I'll
out.
put some little commentary in on state budgeting. They're ridiculous.
Whatever you produce.
Because they decided, we're not gonna have it at cost of the cultivator, well, yeah. And Jerry Brown's not gonna keep funneling money to this program, it actually owes money. That's for every.
I just wanted to catch up on
There's,
what the company, we got one
Yeah, let's all, we've got 3 or 4 going right now. So you did derail it, Mom. I mean, wow, boom.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's, with a couple of conversations going, and
All right.
one of them wants to start back up as we wrap up. Go ahead.
Well, I think that, does not require a tag on each plant, just on a batch of plants, right? So you don't have to put, one of your stickers on each plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I
And
want
on
to
a
add.
small batch, and when your annual state license, at that point, you will need to have, metric tags for a batch, each batch. And when when they're immature, you don't need
True.
every plant. You need
A tag per batch.
a batch. So, and when that plant starts to flower, you need the tag. You don't put it on.
And
I'm just wondering about this transfer of the plant. Are you considering that some have a baby on it?
Oh, yeah, that's an excuse.
So you'll just plant the tag for each batch. After that, you're essentially using the plants for your processing. So if you're doing like bags of trim or bucket trim or bags of flour or buckets of flour, or you're doing your own pre-rolls or you're doing pre-packaging, that's kind of when the bulk of your stamp use will be done. It's a post-harvest.
When you plant, use that stamp represented with the batch. How you do that?
What you do, you put it on a plant label.
Can I put it on a piece of paper and put that on the front of the gate of the garden saying,
You need to put it, you need to put it closer.
No, so we would say, and what we suggest is, have like the, kind of like the plastic ties, the plant tags, that plant, something like that, because essentially we just need to identify your batches. So if you're are you growing you growing one strain?
no, we're gonna probably have like 4 strains.
So you need 4 tags.
Okay.
And what
And
you
it's gonna say plant 1 through 10 or.
Each one of them, just put a tag in the same number.
Yeah, so we would recommend if you're doing them in rows or using a hoop house or whatever, I suggest putting your strains in the general area.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Yeah, you don't go like strain, a different strain, and strain, and different strain.
We keep them together, and what we've been recommending that people do is, you have them in a row, the first tag gets the tag, and then, yeah, so that's right.
Your own tag for the rest.
If that's what you do.
We don't want, we want to do,
We want to identify,
Thinking about it too hard.
yeah. If an inspector comes, you just want to be able to identify your batches. Okay,
If you got 4 strains, just get 4 different color tags.
when it's time to do it, that'll help us, and they'll walk you through it.
Or I can explain.
Pay people to do exactly that.
I'm figuring out now because we have a baby and I'm trying to figure out
that's pretty super easy.
Stay on your cannabis.
I just want to add, because I was in training in November, I think it was, and it's not what I understood was that when they told us about having one tag per cluster, it was for clones. So if you have a tray of 100 clones, then you have one tag. What I got out of that meeting was that every single plant needed it.
It was true.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So this is all new information to me. So if it's new information to me, it's new information to every other farmer that went through.
There was an email that went out that I told those that it was changed because the direction from this working group was to any individual plant tagging and go to a batch model. So we implemented that in December, and an email went out to all of the active users in that group that month. And at that point forward in e-training, we went to the batch model. So you received an email after the change was made, and it was a recommendation from this group that we implemented in December.
And it makes better sense. I mean, yeah.
Every plant,
It's a lot of work.
Colorado,
So-
they have a busy work.
We're meeting in July. I'm sorry. We're meeting in July. We're going to have something, a recommendation for the board in November. And
Is it always, this is my first practice.
welcome. Hi.
Is it always the same first Thursday at the same time?
Typically, we're trying to get everyone on the same schedule, so all working groups are the first Thursday of every month. Our second trace tends to be in the morning.
So make sure I or Erica has your email address today. Let's just make sure,
Okay.
since you're here, we can confirm you're on our email list for this group.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And then you're already here, so you can stay the rest of the day.
I'm not
And many other ones later in the afternoon.
Now that Hannah's here, I think we're wrapping up. I'm glad you made it, Hannah.
And the next one is actually in the ag conference room, I think.
After meetings are in the big ag room.
all the rest of the meeting
Yes.
today.
And hopefully that's where meetings will be in the future. But we can, we can still run in this.
Sometimes, there's double booking.
Yeah. And there's a big room in the center of that building. You kind of can't miss it.
Pharmatizer's room.
Sarah is obviously
I'll show you where to get the support documentation.
always welcome, but I'm guessing she won't always be joining us in the future, and I just want to thank her for all the work in this and other working groups. So thank you, Sarah.
I might try to drop into the day one.
I have like 32 pounds.
I'm in the middle of doing budget right now.
I went right there.
I'm going to try to sub in for that one, but I probably won't. I won't be at the thing. Yeah, I won't be there.
This for this group only. Yeah. I'll talk to Hannah. I will. We'll let her know. An email will go out if she's on that email list, and she'll get that information. Okay. All right, we're going to wrap.
I'll be on this one. I don't really know.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. You're welcome to here a few minutes and talk and get into details, and thank you very, very much, all of you. Thanks.
And just over there, and you don't have a long.